Anybody got a prescription, yeah, for this love thing? Anybody got a pill like a pop for this?
All right, come on in and join us. Welcome to another Friday night, all the way live with the Love Byrds. I am one half of your dynamic duo. I go by the name of Dr. James Byrd, and along with me, my beautiful, lovely, and talented wife. She goes by the name of
Dr. Angel Byrd.
And together we are the Love Byrds. And we are always happy when we can come out and get together with the people on Friday on Facebook Live and talk about one of our favorite subjects in the whole widest world. Marriage in the family. Marriage, when I said widest, the whole widest world. All right. So, welcome to people. Tell us what's on your mind before we get into today's topic.
I don't have a lot on my mind today. I am
Alright.
ready to get going and help marriages today because I know that they need help. Yes, that's all I got.
All right. Well, we are going to be starting a topic today, 10 marital hardships and how to overcome them. So these are just some things that just doing some research and find out that marriages all over are struggling with, or at a time here or there, may enter into your marriage and can cause a struggle if you don't deal with them properly. This doesn't mean that your marriage is dealing with all of these or most of these at a specific time, but they can come at different times and different seasons
In your life.
Yeah. And keep your glasses on. You look cute in them glasses, girl.
I won't be able to see the rest of everything.
All right. So we'll see how much we can get through today of the 10. We might be able to do it in 2 weeks, 5 and 5. We'll see how it goes. All right. So, of course, the number one. Listen, these are in no particular order. So this is not saying that this is the most important, the toughest thing that marriages struggle with or go through. But number one here could be a really tough thing. And so number one is financial struggles. Mm-hmm. All right. The stress that's associated with money problems can then oftentimes be overwhelming in marriages and in relationships. Before I say what it says, speak about the, sometimes overwhelming stress of financial problems in marriage.
Wow. I mean, I'm sure that it's stressful for both parties, but I believe God built us differently, and women don't handle it well at all when there is a lack of, and I'm not saying men don't, they just express it differently. But for a wife and for a woman, if you don't express how it's making you feel, it can make you feel some kind of way internally where it makes you sick. It makes you ill, or it makes you become a whole different person when you don't feel like things are going to work out and there's not enough. Because no matter how far away we get away from the Bible, God never created you to have to figure those things out. And when you have to or you try to, it messes you up mentally. It really does.
Really does. That was short and sweet.
Yeah.
Man, we act like we ain't dealing with financial struggles a lot in our marriage.
Well, we just getting started. We got a lot to go. I know we're not done on finances yet.
I'll say this. As far as financial struggles go, I think I don't know what's worse when it comes to financial struggles. I don't know if it's worse when there's just not enough there, and I don't care who budgets, who does the budget for you, who puts it together for you, who puts you in an inexpensive apartment or home, taking the bus, whatever. There's just still not enough there. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But then there's another thing that financial struggle, where I think most people deal in financial struggles is with when there's not enough because you don't manage it well.
Yes, and majority of the time that's the
more
case.
to say now.
Yeah. Because everybody go through some type of hardship, even millionaires, they may have a business, and to them to lose the business or lose millions of dollars, even though they still have it, that's still tough for them.
Yes.
And so that's a broad thing.
I can give you an example on that. hopefully this won't, get you off, but I was talking to someone yesterday who owns their own business. So, you can consider a small business compared to many of the major big businesses around. I think he may have had about, at its height, maybe, let's just say 30 employees. Maybe it wasn't that many, maybe 25, 20 employees. And during the COVID, and because of what his business is, the business was kind of standing still a lot. There was not much income coming in with the business based upon the type of business that it is. And I don't want to say what type of business it is, because I don't want nobody try to figure out what it is or who it is. But he had to lay off like 15 or 16 of his employees. And when you got a small business, you're close to your employees.
Yeah.
And that's tough. That's stressful. Those are financial problems. So, and this person at the height of his business was doing well, financially doing really well. And so that goes to show that it's not just people that don't have, that maybe earn less than 6 figures, or earn between 6 and 7 figures, but those that earn over 7 figures, we can go through seasons where financial problems can be
but the philosophy of most people think that it only hits people who are in certain areas, in zip codes, income brackets or whatever, when it hits a whole lot of people. And some people that you think that are living a certain way, they're struggling more than you because there's more to manage.
Right.
And you don't get that. You thinking about, man, I just needed to get some groceries or whatever, and they're thinking like, I'm about to lose this $1 million house.
Yeah.
And so it's bigger than that's why we can't compare or look across the fence and decide who has more and who's doing better than the other person, because you don't know.
Right.
And I just remember that I believe, when I think about it, we always had enough, but we were such poor managers of it, stewards of what God had given us when we didn't know any better. And so we suffered for that, because once we learn what to do, it's like it's amazing how you can take that and make it just work. So over the years, back in the day when we used to say, I pay my tithes and why is this happening? I do this and why is this happening? Just because you pay your tithes doesn't mean you're going to have enough if you're a poor steward. And Christians have been duped by that, by thinking that all you got to do is pay your tithes and you can take the 90% and just blow it and mess it up and not manage it.
Give.
Yeah, all those things. No, you have to live by principles. And principles mean you have to manage and be a steward over all of it. It all belongs to God. None of it belongs to you.
And when you manage it well, then it just, God just tends to open up doors and make ways for you to get more. Why? Because when you get the more, you're still going to manage it well, because you've proven that you can manage it well when you have the little. And that's, of course, a biblical principle. And so, and as she said, we've had seasons in our lives where we made over 6 figures. I mean, let's just say over $100,000. That's over 6 figures. But at the end of the year, it was the whole year seemed tight.
It was horrible.
You know what I'm saying?
It was.
And there was other people that were married with kids, and their combined income might have been $50,000, or $60,000. And they if they would look and say, if I had y'all income, we'd be great. That's doubling our income. Yeah. But because we weren't managing it well, it was just as tight for us
as if we didn't have it.
Then there was times where we were making that type of money and wasn't even taking vacations and things like that or whatever, because we were just struggling because we were poor managers.
Yeah.
And I'm ultimately the one that has to be the more responsible for it. Not that I knew money better than her or knew these principles and things better than her, but at the end of the road, God holds me responsible as the man, as the head of my family. And so if nothing else, if that's you and you don't know these things, it's like I didn't know these things, then get somebody who can teach you. Go get somebody who can sit you down and show you, and then listen to them. Once our pastor Robert started really teaching us those principles, hitting them into
stewardship,
stewardship, it just made sense. And then you begin to apply those in budget forms for our family, and our finances just went to another level, to the place where if a lot of people were in the situation that we were in during the quarantine,
not working,
they would have been in trouble because we were used to not working in the summer because we save forward and we travel in the summers and things like that. But our year got cut off months before,
like 4 months,
like 4 months before when we were usually accumulating money.
So that's 5 months of income that didn't come in this year.
But because you had managed it well, and we were good stewards, we weren't looking to buy too much and things like that, spend it. We had the money there to be able to sustain us, and so I know that there are people out there that I'm talking to that you are in this situation that we have been in our past, and the finances are tight. And what happens is when the finances is tight and struggling, you start fighting each other over little things.
Everybody's short, everybody's on edge and things like that, because during those times, it's always an opportunity for believers to see where they really are with God. Because when you get to those places, who do you really trust? What do you really trust? Are you trusting in, oh my God, this? Are you trusting and living in a way where you know that God is still going to see you through? And all of those things are tests. It's like all of those things is like just a mirror to show us the things we say verbally, oh, I trust the Lord, oh, the Lord is good. But then when you pushed up against the wall, is he still good? Are your response still the same? And most of ours are not.
That's absolutely true. And so I want to caution you, first of all, that there's going to be some communication that's going to have to go into place. You're going to have to stop fighting each other, stop blaming each other. And listen, blaming, and I know wives, you might, maybe your answer is, you need to go hustle more. You need to get another job. You need to get a second job, whatever. You think that may be the answer. But I'm here to tell you that's not always the answer.
Yeah.
Sometimes the answer is putting it on paper and see where it's going and see where the holes are in your budget where money's just disappearing.
Yeah. And then we got all this separation. We see clients every day, all day, for marriage and the family. And I have never in my life seen so many people who think in a marriage their money is their money and the other one don't know what the other one makes. This mama, I mean, it's like, what did you sign up for?
I pay this and you pay that.
Yeah.
I pay this and you pay that. And
it's like, how do you do that? It's
where's the oneness? Where's the unity?
Yeah, it's like, so even if there was different accounts, the money for the household budget should be all in something where it's just being taken care of. But we see people struggle year after year after year because the wife don't know what he made. He don't know what she made.
And then they keep secrets, stashes.
It's just unbelievable.
And then with, in today's society, there's so many blended families and things like that, and you come together. So now you got this other family, all the grown kids over here, and
you still feeding them.
Your house is falling short because you taking care of a grown child over here somewhere, and your spouse don't even know about it. Because you're hiding it, because you don't want to let them know how much you're making, because if they knew how much you're making and they knew how much they were making, they would say, hey, we shouldn't be struggling.
Yeah. Because if you making 40, say, and they're making 50, y'all make $90,000 a year. Why can't you live off of that?
Exactly.
Why can't you put yourself in a position and don't say we're not making enough? No, you're living above where you're supposed to be living. And so you have to make those adjustments. And then if you feel that you have to do that, then you have to say, who am I trying to impress? Why am I doing this that it will harm my family?
Stay off of Facebook, trying to keep up with the Joneses.
All the stuff.
Don't stay on Facebook right now because you're watching all the way live with the Love Byrd. But you're always trying to keep up with everybody else's lifestyle and what's going on with everybody else, and you can't do that. You have to commit to a plan. So that's the first thing. You got to get a plan. Find a good plan. There are you can read The Blessed Life. You can get Dave Ramsey, he has financial Peace University. Get some financial help, get on a plan, commit to the plan, and stick to the plan. Yeah. Live simple, live below your means. As you said, don't try to impress, don't try to get the bags and shoes and the cars and clothes that everybody else is getting. Get what's in your means. Listen, I was thinking about this today. As much money as we spend, listen, especially you black people, but it's all people, but I'm just playing. But sometimes the amount of money that we spend on clothes and shoes, Do you realize that clothes are simply to keep your body covered? To keep you protected? No, not for us. Clothes are a status symbol. They are to say, my clothes say who I am. They make me impressive. You know what? I think if you're a man out there, I think your wife would be more impressed by your bank account than she would be by your clothes.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a woman out there, I think your husband would be more impressed by the fact that you help him accumulate this bank account, savings, and all this kind of stuff. Well, just tune into the show, baby. Don't worry about that. How about that?
Get it to my page.
Just tune into the show. Just tune into the show. We are all the way live with the Love Byrds is hiring. Okay. Now this position does not come with paid benefits. It comes with the benefits of helping this show flow well, as you will be the technical person for my wife and allow her to leave the computer alone and just focus on talking to the people. Oh. So if that's you, DM us and say that you're looking for a position to help the Love Byrds, and you know that it would just be a blessing to you to be a blessing to us.
Okay, yes, but his computer works sometimes and sometimes it doesn't.
And the problem is it's always the computer. You notice her Apple didn't work.
See, the husband
husbands
don't say stuff like that to your wife.
No, it's always the computer. And so whoever that is, I need you to come with a really working well computer. So commit to a plan, live simple or below your means, and never keep secrets, financial secrets from your spouse. Come together, bring what you have together, and make it one jumbo lump sum. And then you can set some aside for your own savings or for all your own separate spending and things like that. But bring it all to the pot. All right? That was number one. Number two, marital hardship number two is challenging children. Challenging children. And we can say, thank the Lord that all of our children are of an age of grownness and gone.
Emptiness.
And we are so happy, but we can speak to this from experience because we raised three, and there were times in our life where we had 4, 5, and 6 in the house, others in the house. As there were times where we raised our brothers and sisters. There was times where we had other people come and live with us with points in their lives for years and things like that. Yeah, I mean, not just my brother. I mean, we've had, others, play daughters and, different things. That's just who we are. That's who we were.
That's who we were. For 19,
that's who we were.
19 years of our marriage, somebody lived with us, and so we're finally free.
And God has blessed us financially, so now we'll just help you survive on your own. But in this sense, even the best behaved children in the world present challenges. Okay.
Yes.
And so when I say challenging children, I don't want you just to automatically think about children maybe with behavioral issues or things like that. Yeah. We're not even just talking about that.
I mean, just based on the husband and wife upbringing can cause issues of how they're trying to raise their children and coexist in the differences and the way they say, no, I wouldn't do it that way, or why are you doing that, and don't do them like that. All of that kind of stuff can cause problems. Absolutely. Because you only know how you were raised, and I know how I was raised, and so what we do is tend to try to do it all over again, and it doesn't mean that it works for your children.
I remember one time when our children were young, and we pulled into a fast food to get them some food, and you were in the passenger side, they were in the back, and you turned around and looked at them and said, what would y'all like? And I was like, what? Where they do that at? What do you mean what they like? You the mama, you the adult, you order what you want them to have.
And then I say, oh my God, your childhood must have been horrible. No, I didn't. But I'm thinking, I had choices. My parents would say, do you want red snapper or do you want this? And so I grew up saying, what do you want to eat, or what would you like to eat? And he grew up saying, you sit your butt at the table, and if you don't eat this, you don't get nothing else. And so that was like this, and so even something that small can cause you to be at odds with one another.
And so those are challenges that kids bring about. Another challenge that children bring about is this so natural thing that happens that when children are born, because a baby is so needy and it takes almost everything you have to care for them, then they become almost your number one priority.
Yep.
Especially a lot of times the wife, the woman, they become your number one priority. And then you put the marriage on the back burner.
On hold.
You put the marriage on hold. And they never stop needing you.
Ever.
At any stage, do they ever stop needing you?
Yeah.
So now what started as a baby, you
Mhm.
carry that on until they graduate from high school. And then you look up and your marriage was only based upon
on the children.
on the children.
And then what we're seeing in our friends and different people, as once the children left, their marriage was over. And because they're like, who are you? I have to get to know you all over again, because you spend all your time and consume in 50 different sports activities, all these things. It's like, what one kid can do that many things at one time? I can see if he's the only or she's the only child, but multiple kids, all you do is continue to drift. All you do is put yourself in a position when y'all get home, you wore out, you ready to go to bed, and then you turn around and do this stuff over and over and over again.
It's a vicious
It's
cycle.
a cycle.
And us, even us dads have it bad. I can't speak for the wives.
Mm-hmm.
Some wives, some mothers have it bad too. But us dads have it bad if we were athletes and things like that. And then you want to have your children, your sons, or even your daughters in all these different sports.
Yeah.
And so there's practices every night of the week. These sports are just constant. They never stop. They're through school. They're in the summer. They just constantly
Now it's to the
never
point
stop.
where our family don't go to church anymore, even Christians.
Right.
Don't go
because
to church
sports.
because of sports. They're not even getting paid yet. And it's like you have totally taken away what they need to be successful in life, and that is knowing God to that degree.
And let me help you out on that, because she said they're not getting paid yet. Let me help you out on that. Most likely, they're not going to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Just real.
yeah.
Most likely. I mean, there's only a small, minute percentage of kids that ever become professional athletes at any particular sport.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not saying yours won't, but the likelihood
Of it happening.
is very minuscule.
Yeah.
And so
And look at all the things you jeopardized during that time. Your husband or your wife, your church. Let's just not even talk about the whole concept of you need a relationship, an intimate relationship with God. And when you're dragging them all around the world, you're not getting that.
because you're working, dragging them all around. There's no time for regular date nights, regular intimacy. There's no time for that, because you got to sleep too.
Yeah.
And then look here. Go back to number one. Now you're bringing us something for a lot of people. They're bringing a financial hardship
Because I see people,
on the marriage.
how they say they're going to stay in it. And I know it's costing us, and we're about to lose everything.
Our lights got cut
Cut
off,
off.
but I got to pay for
Pay
little Johnny to go
How many
out of town.
people have we counseled
all
for
over
that?
and over again that happens.
Oh my God, we sitting there like in the session going, so you choose
I gotta
to
have
pay.
my 12-year-old on this traveling
Traveling
baseball team or basketball team or football team. He's 12 years old.
Yeah.
Listen, he's going to have plenty of years and plenty of opportunities.
Mhm.
And the fact that you're hurting your family financially when you're putting that before the family.
Yeah. It doesn't
so
make
sad.
sense, but people got to go through what they have to go through, and hopefully this will help you to at least think about it, to be able to redirect this thing.
And so if you nurture the relationship with each other, you make this relationship first, the whole time we had our children, we dated.
Yeah.
And our children saw that. And I told our children, I said, listen, one sport at a time.
Yeah.
One sport at a time. And I told their coaches, we will be at church on Sunday morning. We will be at Bible study on Wednesday night. If you want them on this team, make sure that their games on Sunday are later in the afternoon after church. And they don't have practice on Wednesday night. And every one of those coaches
did it.
Did it.
And most people don't even think to ask that or suggest it, but they honored it every single time. And my son plays sports all the way through. I have not paid for college because my son was good enough to be able to play, to be able to pay for his education. And now he's at a place now where he's getting ready to go overseas. And it's like he went to church, he still did those things, and he didn't play more than one sport at a time, and look,
Still worked out.
Still worked
Because
out.
guess what? God can make it happen more than you can.
Mhm.
So keep this number one. Let your children see you daddy. I remember one of the saddest things was when we had our godchildren, and we were bringing them home with us to hang out with us on a Sunday, and they were riding with us, and we were in the car just holding hands and just being normal for us. And then we got them all fed and got them home. Then we said, okay, they were old enough to watch. The older ones were old enough to watch the younger ones, and so we said, hey, we're going on a date. We're gonna go to the movies, and so y'all watch them. If y'all need anything, let us know. But we'll be back. When we took them back home, we came. Their parents came to me. The dad came to me and said, man, you made it tough on me and my wife. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, my kids watched y'all. They said, why come y'all, mom and daddy, why come y'all not like God, mom, and God, daddy? They go on dates, they hold hands, they talk to each other, they play with each other, they kiss each other. Kids see that.
Yeah. And it helps in their development.
It does.
And then you marry some man or someone don't want to be touched. They words is 5 words for the whole day, and you wondering where that's coming from. Somebody didn't talk to them.
They did.
Somebody didn't cultivate their information and vocabulary for them to be able to communicate with their spouse. And that's just not something that just happens. That's the environment that people are in.
So it's healthy for your children to see your husband patting their mama on the butt, or hugging them, kissing them, things like that. Touch them, touch them. You gotta touch them. Let me touch you, girl. Let me touch you, girl. You gotta touch them. All right, I'm gonna do this. I'll make this the last one for today. Immaturity. Why you laugh? Go ahead. What was the first thing you thought about when I said immaturity?
Men.
Ooh, wow. Did she go there? Did she go there, Hattis? Oh man. What's wrong
How
with us
about?
men?
I mean, I'm not talking about other men. I got my own man. I don't even have to talk about a bunch of other men. We're just talking about how the development and the things that it takes you guys to get, over time. It's like God developed a woman as a girl to come in the game ready to roll, ready to be a wife. I mean, even if she'll not be a wife, she's ready to be a family,
right,
or whatever. And the man is just like, what about my games and my toys and all my stuff and all those things that it takes them longer to let go of. It's just almost sometimes ridiculous.
And we don't talk about immature relationships and relationships maturing over time. But while we're talking about immaturity like this in of a male, I want to talk about what she said. We brought this question up in our small group, in our men's small group, where we asked this question. Why does it seem like men sometimes take so long to mature? Some never mature. So they can be 50 and 60 and still really be immature.
Yeah.
Why does it take men seemingly so long to mature? And that wasn't a thing of the past, but that is a thing of the day. And this came out. We don't know if this is concrete or this is the truth. But one of the things that I believe is that when it comes to, especially our people, when it comes to our sons, our mamas, baby they sons, and put responsibility on their daughters, because they I already know you. I know how you are with that boy,
but he makes sure he has responsibility too.
Well, but a lot of that's because he got a daddy that if I just left it up to y'all, he'd get away with anything. Y'all give him anything y'all want. I mean, and because I say y'all because it was her and 2 sisters.
You see how quick that goes back to the female's fault that men are immature.
And so one of the things we said, that one of the reasons why we see the African male, see before she quote that, one of the things we said before, that the reason why the male is immature is because there's a lack of a mature spiritual man in the home. Life. Not necessarily even a lack of man in the home, even though we know that is the case a lot of times. There are a lot of single mothers raising these boys, but even sometimes there's a father there, but he's not a spiritually mature man that he needs to he produces out of that boy what he needs to produce, and sometimes makes him suffer through something difficult, and it's like makes him hold to his word. Really, maturity is really a thing about you do what you say you're going to do.
Absolutely. Like my son, certain things he couldn't quit once he signed up for it.
Yeah, your word.
And then I never forget the first time I ever saw him try to wear his pants like his friends.
Sagging pants?
I mean, that's when he comes in where he says the mother would have did something different. Yes, I would have been angry about it, but he put him on a punishment for 2 weeks, almost a month, because he didn't have a belt on. But guess what? He never did it again in front of his father or anywhere where we can see, because that he had a daddy in the home. And so if you got a daddy, then why are you walking around looking like you don't have one? And that's what he said to him. And I remember being I remember where we were, the store, everything. And I was like, almost a month. What is wrong with you? You know, but it was teaching him something that he's gonna be able to pass down to his own child.
Absolutely. And we've seen this, and any parents that have raised children that have turned out well, your children will always come back when they get a certain age and they see life and they see the world and they see their friends that were raised without discipline and without that type of love. They're going to come back to you and say, man, I thank God that y'all raised me the way y'all did. I thank God y'all raised us in church. I thank God that you just didn't let us do any old kind of thing in any old kind of way. So that, and listen, love sometimes means, when it comes to your children, love, and we're talking about maturity here. Maturity means that sometimes you got to make a difficult decision.
Yeah.
The immature thing to do is just to do what's easy.
Yeah.
That's immaturity.
Yeah.
And in a relationship, a lot of times relationships are immature. Why? Because the two people in the relationship just do whatever they feel like doing.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Say whatever they feel like saying. Listen, if you're in a, I don't care if it's male or female. If you're an adult and you're in this relationship, you're flat out immature if you think that just because you don't like something, you just got carte blanche to say whatever you like to say, even if you know it's hurtful, even if you know it's going to damage the person that you're married to. That's a sign of immaturity. That's immaturity. Listen, you've made a covenant together. Your maturity means that, listen, you stick with that person in spite of their flaws, knowing that they're sticking with you in spite of your flaws. Maturity says, I make vows with you, and I'm going to keep those for better or for worse, in sickness or in health, rich and poor. Another thing of maturity, if you have somebody we'll talk about that. Because sickness can come into a relationship and be a problem as well. So immaturity doesn't just mean that, the person in the marriage is immature, even though we know a lot of men. I hate to just throw stuff out there, but I'm sorry. When I do the show, I just got to be real at times. And I hear from women. So I'm going to speak on this because I hear from women that are married. You're married, you got a family, you go to work, and then you come home and you spend all day playing video games.
To the man.
Yeah.
Okay, because it didn't sound like that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I'm saying I've talked to women, and the women have complained about this.
Oh, okay.
They don't like that.
Yeah.
Because you spend all day at work, 8-9 hours at work, and then you come home and you spend 5-6 hours on a video game.
Yeah.
Where's time for her? Oh, but you want her to make love to you.
Yeah.
And
then you say she's withholding herself, and now you know the Bible, but you didn't know it before. While you were on your video game. And so it's like you can't have both. You can't not pour into somebody and expect something to come out of them. And so you have to grow up. You have to mature. And it's like a mature man won't sacrifice his family and sacrifice intimacy just to get his own needs met.
When I was a child, I acted like a child. I thought like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Yeah. And so some of you men, you got to put away some of the childish things. And if that's you, if you're a woman and you're acting like you're immature, you got to put away the childish things. Grow up and be a man, be a woman, be married, and let your marriage grow and develop into a mature state. Another thing about immaturity in marriage is if you're still acting and responding to each other the way you did when you first got married, and you've been married for 7-10 years now, then there hasn't been growth in your marriage. Because why? Because people change. Yeah. We develop.
You should be.
Your personality should be developing and growing with what you're reading, with what you're learning. With
if
what
you're truly renewing your mind, if you truly want to be like the image of God, if you truly say that I'm a believer and I want to be Christ-like, then if you are the same when you first came into it, then you haven't put in the work. You haven't put in the work, because you should be able to look back 10 years from now, if you've been saved, to be able to see the beginning stages of where you have developed. And if you can't see development, then you have to say, am I really growing spiritually? Because to grow spiritually helps you grow up naturally. And people don't connect the dots with that. You know, it's like, no, you cannot grow naturally if you don't grow spiritually. Right. You see, but you cannot have the natural but not have the spiritual, because you will stay the same. A person who is just natural, they can't renew their mind.
They can't.
Because there's only one way to do it. And so it's like people missing it.
Missing it. So I'm gonna wrap this up in this way to say this. Understand this. Listen, if these have been difficult principles for you, and that's why they're marital hardships. They cause a lot of relationships to fail.
Yeah.
A lot of relationships to end up in divorce. So if immaturity, challenging with the children and how to operate children in a marriage, financial struggles, all these things. Listen, the things that we've talked about to help you overcome them, they're worth putting in the work. Yeah. I'm telling you, because when you put in the work to change, to overcome them, you get such a better marriage.
Yeah.
It's worth it. I'm telling you. Listen, you thought you were cool when you could go to work, come home and play your video game.
Yeah.
Or take your kids to sporting events all the time, and that, you thought that was cool. Get some real order in your relationship and see how much better the marriage is, and how much better. I'm telling you that you can call it sacrifice. I hate even using that word sacrifice, but let's say if it's a sacrifice to you to mature up, to put your spouse before the children, to put your budget before just frivolous spending and trying to keep up with the Joneses and things like that. If you will put your marriage before those things, man, the benefit of it is incredible.
It's almost impossible to get somebody to understand what you mean when you've been there and you're on the other side of something. It's almost like you just want them to get it so bad. And then I pose a question to, because most of our show and the things we do is coming from a place of being a believer. So my question would be, if going to church on Sunday was just enough for everything in your life to change, then why hasn't it?
Good question.
Why hasn't it? Because you got to put in the work. God is not going to renew your mind for you. He's not going to force you to go home and read a marriage book, because we know people who've been married for 10 years and never read a book on marriage, but you want to have something successful. Some of this stuff don't even make natural sense.
Right.
And it's like natural people who go to school to do acting and to do motivational speaking and all that, they put in the work.
Yeah,
it's like they read books. It's like us as believers, we won't even read the book that was meant for our life.
The Bible.
The Bible. And it's just like, okay, but we want all of these amazing pies to fall out the sky and all this stuff. It's not going to happen. That has been a religious philosophy, and it doesn't work. Just because you went to the altar for healing for your marriage doesn't mean your marriage is healed. It means you have to submit to God, submit to your marriage, and go put in the work for it to change. And that's what we're not willing to do.
So as you can see, people, we have been begging you today to make whatever sacrifices that you need to make, to put your marriage first, so that these hardships, when they enter your life, they won't be to the detriment of your marriage. Yeah. And you can survive them, and you can come out with a strong marriage like the Love Byrd. You can be a power couple. Did we blow? I was supposed to blow it up? Yeah. Boom. You can become a power couple like the Love Byrd. So, you got any closing comments?
Yeah. And the Love Byrds is here because we put in the work.
We put in the work.
We put in the work. And was it easy? No, it wasn't. You got two different personalities. People finding order with your role with God, not clashing them, not having collisions, trying to find all of that out. But guess what? God is faithful.
He's faithful. All right. Well, again, this has been All the Way Live with the Love Byrds. I am one half of your dynamic duo, by the name of Dr. James Byrd. My beautiful, let me touch your wife, if she goes by the name of
Dr. Angel Byrd.
Together we are the Love Byrds, and we'll see you next Friday night. Don't forget to share.
Oh, yeah.
Share,
push the button right now.
Push the button. Share. We love you. We'll see you next
Everybody got a prescription, for this love pain. Anybody got a pill like a